Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining Encore Palm Beach County for our special session on our Zoom event. Karen Roberts, our resident HR specialist, is going to be the moderator of today's event. And without further ado, Karen Roberts. Karen?
Thank you, Christine, and welcome everyone. Thank you for sharing your lunch with us today, your lunchtime for this wonderful discussion we're going to have. As Christine said, I am an HR professional here in Palm Beach County, and I have the pleasure of allowing my two colleagues, John and Katherine, who will be your panelists today, introduce themselves, and then we'll dive right into some very exciting questions here. So John, would you please give us a brief overview, sir?
Sure. Good morning. My name is John Dalton. I'm the owner of Optimum RTS and D-Wood Holdings, which both specialize in working with consulting in the home care industry, as well as hiring throughout Palm Beach, Broward, Martin, and the nation for top-level executives and office staff. I am a past winner of the Wisdom and Experience Awards for the last 2 years running. Very, very honored to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. Katherine?
Hi, I'm the financial controller for Boca Helping Hands. We were a past winner last year, and we provide pantry distribution to Palm Beach County residents, and also job training programs and resources for rental assistance, utilities assistance, and childcare.
Wonderful. Thank you, Katherine, for all that you do for the community. And for the audience folks, if you have a question, please put it in the chat. Christine will let us know about that, because we want to be sure any questions that you have for our panelists are answered. So let us dive right in. The first question is, how do you define an age-friendly organization?
Do you want me to
I'll go ahead. Go ahead, Katherine.
Okay. I define an age-friendly organization who is one that values and respects employees of all ages, providing an inclusive environment where everyone, regardless of their age, can contribute, grow, and thrive in their environment. This includes, offering policies, practices, and benefits that support them to have a work-life balance.
Thank you. John?
Right. Yeah, I would simply, add to that. I believe that Katherine is correct in everything that she just said. It's really an employer that looks beyond what a person is and instead focuses on who that person is and the value that they can bring to their organization, looking beyond any one particular facet of that person's identity, and more looking at their abilities.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. I know that is a bit of a answer for our next question, but I'm going to see if there's anything else that comes to mind making an organization age-friendly. As winners of the Wisdom and Experience Award, you certainly know what attributes do make an organization age-friendly. So is there anything else you'd like to share in that regard, in case we have somebody on the call that's hoping to make theirs age-friendly, or they want to apply at a place that is age-friendly? What are some of the key attributes that you might call out in addition to what has just been shared? Anything else come to mind?
Katherine, would you like to go first, or I can jump in?
You can go ahead.
Yeah. So it's all about leadership. It's all about leadership of organizations. As human beings, we often emulate those that come before us or are our leaders. Children emulate their parents. Employees emulate their bosses. The bosses emulate the owners. So we need to start from the top and look at how we are treating our existing staff. Are we treating our existing staff with respect? And that would be someone that is just entering the workforce at early 20s, post-college, or even post-high school. and how we're working with the folks that are on the other end of that. Often we talk about how people go ahead and think about a younger generation. Again, this goes to a question that you might be asking in the future, but we can find a lot of our solutions for the issues that arise when people start talking about millennials and Gen Zs in the work and life expectancies. Not life expectancy is how far they're going to live, but what an older woman or man expects from their job, and how they go about doing it. So really it's setting the tone from the top, and making sure that everyone feels included. And sometimes at the top, we have to go ahead and force some of those interactions between the young and old. You know, we're conditioned from a very young age that the girls sit at the girls' table, the boys sit at the boys' table, right? And then as we get into work, well, the young employees sit with the young employees and the old employees sit with the old employees. When teams are formed, it's done the same thing. So sometimes we have to manifest how the team is going to build as well.
Excellent points. Thank you, John. Katherine, anything you wanted to share on that particular one about key attributes for an age-friendly organization? If not, we'll move on, but please go ahead.
In addition to what John said, I completely agree with what he said. You know, it starts from the top. Our executive director is, you know, one of who comprises this, you know, wisdom and experience of workforce that we have here at Boca Helping Hands. And he's always encouraging everyone, whether they're the new millennial that's going into work with us, you know, older employees to, you know, keep training. We're always encouraging them to you know, keep like a mindset of, hey, it's not too late for you to learn anything. So we're always sending people to, you know, additional training, you know, certification, such as Six Sigma. Last year, we sent one of our program directors to earn a Six Sigma certification, because it will, you know, help her run her program. So just to add to that.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Katherine. And certainly something that all ages share is the desire for continual learning and for enhanced engagement. The smart companies know that folks want to be continual learners and lifelong learners, and continuing to train, offer training opportunities, upskilling opportunities. Those are very important for retention and engagement in the organization. So thank you for mentioning that point. So both, as you are both winners, past winners of the Wisdom Experience Works for Business Award, when did you first realize your organization was age-friendly, and did you arrive at that place by design or happenstance?
I'm fairly new with Boca Helping Hands. I started here in November of 2022. And when I first started, you know, I met everyone, and I realized that they're very age friendly. For example, I mean, 67% of our workforce is over the age of 50, and I arrived here by happenstance. My husband and I decided what do you call this? Empty nesters, and we decided to move from Tampa to Boca Raton. So I happened to look at Indeed, and I saw this great opportunity for, you know, for a controller position at Boca Helping Hands. I applied, and a month later they hired me, and it's been, you know, wonderful since. It's great to be able to work for an organization that really gives back to the community. And it's just, I don't know, it's just a feeling of, you know, walking in through the door my first day, just, you know, you feel like you're getting a big hug. So that's how I'm trying to, you know, that's how I felt when I walked induction through the door here. So it's kind of like, okay, this is where I'm going to retire or never retire. Yeah.
Nice. That's wonderful. Karen, yeah, for myself as well, I would have to say it was not intentional. It was not planned. It was complete happenstance. I didn't really realize we were an age-friendly employer until I was nominated, and even for the first time. And even then, I was like, I don't feel that, we fit this mold because we're just doing the right thing. When I opened my business, I did a lot of self-reflection, and I looked at a lot of my managers that had come prior to me, and I thought about all the really great managers that I had, and I thought about all the really junky managers I had. And I remembered the lessons I learned from both, some of which I wanted to make sure that I brought into the organization, others of which I wanted to make sure I did not repeat. In doing that, I surrounded myself with great people that had the ability to do the job with the same compassion and honor and vigor that I wanted Optimum RTS to really be known for. In doing that, we helped everybody we possibly could, and that led us to become a winner. And again, it was much to my surprise, because I just thought we were just doing what we do. I wasn't trying to do any one thing. I wasn't trying to be an age-friendly employer. I just wanted to be the best employer we possibly could be.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Well, thank you, John. And Katherine, how did you hear about the Encore's Wisdom and Experience Works for Business Award?
My executive director actually received an email from you, from your organization, and I think it must have been, I've only been here about 6 months at that time, and he said, hey, let's try for this, for this award, because we kind of fit the mold. And I said, oh, yeah, sure, let's do that. And so I nominated Boca Helping Hands, and
the rest is history.
From there.
The rest is history, as they say.
Yes. And so
Wonderful.
we will. I will nominate them again this year.
Super. Well, thank you both. We have heard a lot about the benefits of being an age-friendly workplace and having intergenerational work teams, the value of mature workers. What things have you found specifics that you might share with the group here to be some of those benefits? Something specific, 1 or 2 things, please, that just jump right out at you as a benefit.
Well, the experience of the workforce here. A lot of them have been here for so many years. Her 15th year anniversary is this year, and without her, I kind of call her the power admin person, because she knows everything. And without her, I would be kind of lost, because when I was new here, she was my go-to person to learn about the organization, to learn how they moved from a small church pantry distribution to this big warehouse that we have now. And the team dynamics, it's hard for me to not say that the older generations that we have here at Boca Helping Hands actually pull everyone together. And I like the fact that, the younger generation all respect our older generation here, because of all of the input that they're able to help them train, able to help them, really go through the organization and learn from them.
Wonderful. Thank you, Katherine. John?
Yeah, one of my driving factors in my life, in my career, is to help mentor and propel the younger generations into a workforce. I love nothing more than taking a recent college grad and putting them on a career track that 20 years from today, they're going to look back and say, wow, that guy really helped me out and helped move me forward. As a leader and an owner, I can convey a lot of really great information to help accomplish that for the younger generation. However, learning really happens when you're talking peer-to-peer. So if you create an organization where part of the population of employment are above 55 and part of your population are below 35, those two sectors of your organization will start to communicate. And my goal is to mentor and propel someone forward. If I have a team of people that can help me accomplish that, and it's not the boss telling me, but it's, Ed, my coworker, suggesting a new way, it's received a lot better. It's taken into heart. And then we're creating that environment of growth. Mentoring is really a big part of that. Mentoring is a big part of that. And peer-to-peer mentoring is even more important than the management style even. So that would be what I would say, adds to that.
Mm-hmm. Environment for growth. I love that phrase. That is very important.
Right.
Thank you for that. That really paints a picture in our mind. So thank you. Now, we just talked about the benefits of mature workers. Now we're going to use that word benefits in a different way. As organizations, we provide benefits for our employees. That is one way we attract and retain people. Any particular benefit offered to your mature workers seem to be more popular than others? Something maybe you've tried or found, and of course, many benefits are appropriate for all age levels, of course, but just wondered if by any chance something really has been especially helpful to your mature workers, perhaps they've shared.
We have a really flexible work environment, and so if they need to work from home on certain days, if they're not feeling well, or just the AC guy needs to come to their house, we have a really flexible working arrangement with everyone. But also, the professional development that we have here at Boca Helping Hands, it extends to everyone, and they've all said they're just because they're at retirement age doesn't mean that they don't want to learn anything, and or they don't want to learn anymore, and they do. And when they come back from those classes, they really bring in whatever it is that they learned into our policies, procedures, whatever it is that we send them to. And it's been great to hear that we're trying to really promote a work-life balance here. Hence, we have the flexible working arrangement.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I would agree wholeheartedly with Katherine in regards to the flexibility side. Is really one of the biggest benefits that a more senior worker is going to be looking for. If we're going to be talking about tangible benefits, i.e. health insurance, certainly once somebody gets above 65, the benefit cost savings to an organization can be substantial. So that would be a reason why organizations might think of bringing in a more senior workforce as well. But I think the biggest benefit that an organization can give to a more senior worker is just respect. We have to respect where they came from. We have to respect their knowledge. In many of the trainings that I do on leadership, I talk about the fact that, I'm really not teaching an old dog new tricks. I'm just simply helping them remember the ones they forgot, right? But, just to continue with that scenario, and no disrespect meant, those old dogs still know a lot of tricks that I don't know. that they can go ahead and they can teach me as well. So it's respect for where they came from. It's respect for their knowledge. It's respect for their worldviews, because if we don't learn from history, we're bound to repeat it. Period. That applies to the business world as well, right? So the lessons that a more senior worker is able to bring into your organization can really help the younger generation run their business much more smoothly, because they have seen these issues come up before.
Well, thank you to both. And Katherine, I wanted to especially mention the comment that you made about the mature workers, after attending a training, will be apt to apply that knowledge right away. And I think that's something that's so important to think about when you're deciding who to send and why and all of that. The fact that they'll put that to work right away, I think is a wonderful testament, to your environment of learning as well. John mentioned an environment of learning, and you certainly support that as well too. So thank you for sharing, because that can certainly be wonderful productivity and efficiency enhancements for your organization. So thanks. Okay, the next question up is, are there any specific strategies in place, either that you do in your organization or that you have seen, to attract and hire individuals from different age groups? So specific strategies that you've either implemented yourself or that you've seen to ensure that different age groups are attracted and can be hired.
Well, our job posting is very inclusive, and I've included a phrase where basically we're a very age-friendly organization, and that we were the wisdom and experience award recipient last year. And the candidates we're getting right now, we're actually hiring a grant manager. Any of you know anyone who will be interested? We just lost one to another charitable organization. But yes, so I mean, having that there, I think will have a really good impact, and not have some candidates that would be prospective candidates not feel like, oh, maybe I'm not fit for this, not fit for that. But it's like we're very diverse, the diverse recruiting initiative.
Very good. Thank you. Glad to hear you use the fact that you're the award winner in your recruiting. That warms our heart.
I try to throw that in there.
It warms our heart. Thank you.
Yes.
John?
Breaking bad habits. Just let me say it. Breaking bad habits. I have been guilty of ageism. I have been guilty of it. I just have. I've been a recruiter since 1991. I know that many times as a recruiter, one of the first things I would do is look to see when the person graduated, so I could extrapolate probably how old they are, and then making a decision in regards to if I wanted to interview based on that. That was not right for me to do. That was a lesson that I had to learn early on. As a recruiter, and you learn the hard way. I make a decision saying, you know what, Ed's not right because he graduated in 1984. So he's not going to be right for this. Let me try to find somebody else that's going to be more appropriate, only to find out the company hired Ed on their own. How silly was I? So sometimes you have to touch the hot stove to realize what you're doing is inappropriate. Sometimes we don't even realize it because we all have our preconceived notions of what the perfect employee is going to look like. So breaking those bad habits again and emulating that from the top, to teach the other recruiters that are coming in underneath and are working with me that that's not the case, right? We don't want to know when they graduate. We don't want to look for that. We want to look for the person that's going to be best for this position. Now I hire a lot of salespeople into organizations, and with those, we do want someone that is coming in without much experience, that doesn't have any bad habits already in sales. So we want to train them to be the best they possibly can. But at the same time, we have other folks that we look at that's really going to round your team out and make that team even better and stronger. So again, looking not at the who or what a person is, but looking at what they bring into the organization is truly the key. And recognize it when we're being ageist. Just recognize it, pointing it out. When I'm talking to my clients, it's the same thing, right? I've learned long ago that everything is sales. Every conversation you have is sales, right? I've learned that I can pretty much understand what the objection is going to be before I say it, before I get into a conversation, and then lead with the objection. So, Katherine, I have the perfect person for you. You're going to notice that he, edged a little bit on the older side, but he's going to be perfect for this and this and this, and his strengths are here and here and here, and this is why you want to see him. So that disarms the person you're talking to immediately, because you've taken their objection away. They can't say, and I apologize that I'm using you, it's just you're right there on the right-hand side where I can see you. You take it away. Now they can't say, well, this person is too old. You've already said that. So that disarms them. Now they can't repeat it. And I've showed why this person is going to be great for it. So A, catching it in yourself, and B, saying the things that are hard to say and making sure that the people you're working with understand how you feel and why you feel that way.
Great. Disarm objections up front. That's great.
That's great.
Okay. You both have spoken about leadership and ways that your organization promotes an inclusive and respectful culture for employees of all ages. Is there anything else you wanted to share on that particular question in ways that you promote inclusion and respect?
Listen.
Right.
Listen. That is the key word. That is the key word. You do not know what your employee needs until you listen to what they need. You do not know what an employee can offer until you listen to them tell you what they can offer. The highest form of respect is to listen to a person to find out who they really are, because they will tell you who they really are, and they will tell you what they can do and what they can't do. And then don't chastise them, don't talk over them, don't give them the yeah, but, right? Anything below but is below the point. Listen to them. And I think that's one of the keys to being a great leader, and really just a good person.
Right.
Just a good person.
I completely agree. I was going to add, have an open dialogue.
Yeah.
So, and that's completely, that's exactly what it is. You have to listen. Don't just, talk to your employees, but actually listen to them.
Right.
And that is a tough skill. A lot of people think they're great listeners, but we know that that is a skill that should be lifelong learning, to continue to always practice the best listening possible. So thank you both for that. Our next question is the fact that we spoke a little bit about mentoring already, in the respect that mentoring is a great way for mature workers to mentor the younger ones. We've also heard about mentoring up, and John, you alluded to that, where sometimes the younger person can be sharing experiences and expertise with a more mature worker, and vice versa. So tell us a bit about what your organizations do, either formally or informally, in regards to mentor support, and how has that experience been for your organization?
We don't, we have a sort of an informal mentorship initiatives here at Boca Helping Hands. For example, one of our drivers approached me last week and asked me how he can, how he can do what I do. So basically, he said, I want to be you. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, you want to do everything I do, because it's quite a bit, and I would suggest it because I'm pretty much I'm in charge of HR, accounting, risk management, and the volunteer program here. So, but if you really want to do that, they said I suggest you start with education, whether it's community college or if you're already going to a university now, that's perfect. Get your accounting degree if you want to be an accountant. But that's where I suggest you start there. However, learn our business, because he said he knows what we do, but in the admin, in the office, he doesn't know what everyone does. So I told him that, start with development. It's like, if you want to learn our business, this is where you need to start. And so he's been walking around our offices asking everyone, like, hey, I want to know what you do and how relevant is it to our, to our organization. And it was great to kind of hear that from the people he's been approaching, because he listened to me. And just the other day, he came into my office like, oh, Miss Katherine, just so you know, I've been talking with development, and I've been talking with the job training program director, just to see, what they are, what they're doing here. And I think I'm close to figuring out what I want to do with my life. And it's nice to hear that from a 20-something, year old, and that, they're listening to you because you have the experience, you have the wisdom to teach them, I guess the ropes. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm a real big mentor, but I've done mentorship to the University of Tampa when I was there. So it's kind of nice to hear that.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes.
And just a quick follow-up, if I may, before we turn over to John. Katherine, in your organization, you mentioned about this person going around and getting some additional information and learning the business. Do you allow job shadowing, which would be if he actually wanted to sit? So, for example, sit with the development officer and whatnot. Do you offer that?
Definitely. So after I spoke with this individual, I approached my executive director, and he told me, this is a great opportunity for us to add to our, employee benefits program, kind of, like that we're open to, job shadowing would be something about job mentoring, and then also job education, helping them with tuition or whatever else that they need, because I mean it's really important right now to invest in your current employees, because you know how they're working, that they're dedicated to the organization. Why not invest in them? Yes.
Thank you.
Karen, when I think of mentorship is inclusion. Mentorship is empowerment. Mentorship allows someone to feel good about themselves and find value in themselves. So in many organizations, and I train this to get specifically to how I work my organization, Optimum RTS and D Wood, but how I train leadership across the board is many times there's not an opportunity for someone to step up into leadership in your organization because there's only so many leadership positions. However, if I take an employee who is a valued employee, senior and or young, and I say, you know what, Ed, I want you to mentor Susan, who's our new employee. You're her peer. There's going to be times that that new employee is not going to want to come to their boss or the owner and ask a specific question for either feeling foolish or not feeling it's appropriate, or for whatever reason, they just want to know what's behind the curtain that they feel they can't ask the owner. So by creating that mentor or peer, where now all of a sudden Katherine can go to Ed and ask Ed a question, that takes that mentor and empowers them to be in leadership even without the title. So it empowers and gives a safe place for the employee that's being mentored to be able to ask a question that they might not otherwise do. I feel for turnover globally is a huge issue. So part of what we talk about when we talk about onboarding is really creating these mentors within your organization that allows a person to be able to go ahead and show their expertise, share their expertise, and empower them and give them value where they're more than just the data entry person. They're more than just this. They're adding value to that organization. So that's how mentorship in Optimum RTS has worked. That's how mentorship with all of the clients that I'm doing consulting for works. And that's how I teach mentorship when I am out at conferences.
Mhm. Well, thank you. Both of those are very good examples of ways to mentor. And I like how both of you spoke about creating a safe space for people. Katherine, in your case, the young person felt safe to come and ask, how could I have your job? Of course, some organization might reply, oh, well, boy, I'm nervous now, or, why do you ask me those questions? Where you were welcoming and helping that person along a career path. And John, you empowering your folks at both ends of the experience spectrum to grow and feel empowered and productive and valued. So thank you both for that. So now we're going to ask about some differences, if you've seen any. And there's been some studies on LinkedIn and different things that have been kind of interesting about how certain generations in the age generations may resemble one more than the other in terms of this topic. I know I've read some, so I'm interested to hear your thoughts about it. Do you find any difference in the preferences of your mature and younger workers for working remotely, working hybrid, or working in the office? So if you have noticed differences, how do you manage these preferences to maximize employee engagement across the age spectrum?
Well, there's a few things when it comes to that. So let's start with Gen Z and millennial on the left side. You're seeing we're coming off of COVID. We're in a very isolated world right now where the 30 and unders have lost the easy ability to communicate face to face. They're not going to roller skating rinks on Friday night. They're not having parties in the woods around a bonfire. They're not, everyone is communicating via headsets on the internet. And talking in little short phrases. So when you see that, you see them lean more towards wanting that remote type of job because they feel more comfortable with that. Now, if we move to the right or the more seniors, you're going to see them get my husband out of the house or I'm going to kill him. And they want to be in person because they've always been in person, right? This is how you do it. So, let's go back to the mentoring again. This is where we have to explain and say the things that are hard to say. Where does growth happen in your career? Growth happens in your career when you're standing around the water cooler talking to your other peers. Growth happens in your career when the owner of the organization can see just how hard you're working on a day-to-day basis and is walking by and is going to throw you a new special project. Out of sight, out of mind is a saying. That's true. If you are only a remote worker and you're only interacting via internet connection Teams on a regular basis, you lose the ability to grow in your career. Who better to say that than, again, your peer mentor who has grown in their career up to being the comptroller, has retired, and now just wants a job to come back and not have to think too hard, using that very liberally, but not have the same responsibilities of a comptroller. Who better to show how they grew in their career than someone that actually did that? I could say that all day long to an employee and they're like, yeah, you just want me in the office. And they see it differently coming from an owner or a boss than they do a mentor or a peer. So I think we see a realization coming around. Now I lecture a lot on managing millennials and Gen Z and mentoring for leadership. And when you look at all of the studies that you're seeing, the Gen Z, not millennials, Gen Z, have much more in common with the greatest generation, our World War II, right? The greatest generation, than they do with the boomers or the Xers. They want to get into an organization. They understand they're not going to come in at the top. They understand it's going to be hard work. They understand they only want 3 or 4 jobs. They want a career that they're going to grow with. So you're starting to see that full circle come back again. But we need people that are in non-leadership roles to really be spreading this word as well, because millennials and Gen Z do not trust people. They have been lied to their whole lives, and they just do not trust people. They hear people saying global warming is not real. They see tornadoes all across the country and hurricanes and, the hottest summers ever. They hear this from the Xers and the boomers and everyone older than them, and they're seeing something completely different. So they feel as if they've been misled. So we need to make sure that we're saying the things that are hard to say, working with our younger generations to bring them forward. But I'm going to make another point, because this is also very, very apropos for our conversation. One of the biggest things we hear about Gen Z and the millennials is that they're lazy. They don't want to work. They're lazy. They don't want to work. They don't want to come in. They never show up. They ghost us during interviews. They call, yeah. Okay, so the question first I say back to the clients is, how many interviews did you do last week? And how many of those candidates did you call and tell them they didn't have the job? So did you set the trend for them, or are they emulating you because you didn't call them and tell them they have the job? So why would they call and tell you they don't want the job? Right? You're sort of creating that scenario for them. Additionally, what COVID taught the younger generations is this. When I first opened my company in 2014, we talked about the gig economy. The gig economy is coming. The gig economy is coming. The gig economy is coming. Well, 2020 came and the world shut down, and all these 20-something, 30-something, 40-somethings, everybody needed to figure out where they're going to get their cash and how they're going to make ends meet. So they learned how to work the gig economy. They learned how to go and drive Uber. They learned how to do DoorDash. They learned how to do, that's when the Instagram influencers really started to pop off. They learned all these other ways to make their money. So if we are not creating an environment for them that's going to allow them into our community and allow them into the business world, we're not going to have that staff. So it only can be filled by the more senior worker now. If you make $15 an hour, that's $600 a week you're going to get paid. If you take away taxes, that's $487. You got to put your kid in daycare, that's $200, you're at $287. You're going to eat lunch every day for $10, $50, now you're at $237. You got to put gas in your car, $50, now you're at $187. So I'm going to go work for 40 hours and I'm going to make under $200 for the week. Or I go drive Uber tonight and make $200 and I'm with my child all day. What would you do? Right? The senior, on the other hand, might be living on a fixed income, having to stay below a certain income level because of their Social Security benefits, and they're more than happy to make the $15 an hour. So we can fill that, right? And re-educate the left end, the younger kids, right? I don't know why left to right. I guess you read left to right, so younger's on the left and older's on the right. That's how my head works. So re-educate them that the only way for you to grow forward, and you cannot be an Uber driver for the rest of your life. Influencers are only going to influence, just like a woman or a man in acting. Sorry, you age out of being that, and there's fewer and fewer needs. So they are going to jump into the work world, but meanwhile back, that is what I see going on with the younger and the older generation being able to help augment and fill those spots in between, and again, mentor, lead, and train the younger from the older.
Well, I'm going to sum that up by saying now, as business owners and HR folks, we now have a new thing to contemplate after listening, John, is lifestyle fit. So I think you might be onto something. This lifestyle fit is another thing to consider. So thank you for sharing. Katherine, anything that you found in your organization in terms of who likes what, the remote, the in-office, or the hybrid? What have you found is most engaging to your folks?
For our employees, he's more of a hybrid environment. Most of our employees are actually in office, but we give them the flexibility that if they have to work from home, then they can work from home. I don't hear anything different on either side. We have Gen Xers here. Primarily Gen Xers, actually. And, we have Gen Zs, millennials, and I don't hear anything different from them either. They're just very thankful that they have the ability to work from home if they need to.
Right. Well, thank you. I know that's always great for those positions. You mentioned a driver a moment ago. It's a little hard to drive from home, so there's always those positions at an organization where sometimes they may feel a little left out of that flexibility. I'm not just picking on your organization. We all have those types of positions. Those who are seeing clients, for example, obviously can't see a client at home or whatnot, but it is something that if an organization has that opportunity, it can certainly be to the advantage of that organization for employee engagement and satisfaction, when the employer is flexible. So thank you for sharing that. As we kind of round the last few minutes and heading to the top of the hour, this is going to be our last question that we have prepared. And then I'll turn it back over to Christine to see if there's anything in the chat and or if there's any questions from the folks on the line here. So because this is Encore and because we're wanting to thank you again for being winners of the Wisdom and Experience Works for Business Award, what benefits can you share has come your organization's way or have you experienced as a result of being a winner? And I know, Katherine, you mentioned making sure that you tout that on your job postings and different things. So I'd love to hear if any tangible results have come back or if it's more anecdotal, just whatever you'd like to share about having been a winner.
Having been a winner, just, I think it boosts our employees' morale, and it it gave our employees we have more visibility, within the community. And it actually increased our volunteerism, actually. So Boca Helping Hands is a very small organization here in Boca Raton. We only have 24 full-time employees. And the rest are volunteers. We have over 300 volunteers who volunteers here on a yearly basis. And, our volunteers are basically our core. Without our volunteers, the 24 people here are, we can't do what we do. And it actually attracted more people, with our volunteer recruitment than our employees, because it's very limited, like I said. And, and also, our employees are more engaged with each other, just like what John said about, peer mentoring. I think we don't acknowledge it as that, but I think it's more of that, the peer mentoring. They're going to the experienced coworkers, like, hey, how did you do this before? And what do you think, I can do better to be, where you are now? Or because it seems as though that we kind of have some disconnect with the different programs sometimes, because I work with all of them, but they don't work with each other because the pantry program is separate from the job training program. So having, more communication and having that information that, hey, we are, the Wisdom and Experience awardee last year, and because of that, we're having all this initiative this year. We're implementing a lot of initiatives to be that organization that is, age friendly, and having initiatives for education, training, etc.
Wonderful. Thank you, Katherine. John, you want to bring us home, sir, as we head to the top of the hour?
Sure. Katherine said it. It's all about employee morale. I run my business. I live my life that it's not about me. So I don't feel like I won the Wisdom and Experience Award as much as my team won the Wisdom and Experience Award. This is something that we do use in our advertising. It is something that we use in our ads and on our website. But again, going back to the beginning, did you do this, or did you just sort of stumble into it? Well, I haven't really changed the way that we do business. It is more about just doing the right thing and saying the right thing and working like that. The Wisdom and Experience Award is something that brought great pride to my staff. The Wisdom and Experience Award is something that my staff shares with new staff. So it's an organic, it's an organic fertilizer for my business. Right.
Okay, with that, we will turn it back over to Christine. Christine, thank you so much. And panelists, John and Katherine, thank you.
What great information you offered about the value of the mature worker and what you guys do. It's really was very enlightening for anyone who was trying to learn more about that value and what mature workers actually bring to the table. You offered some great nuggets, awesome information. So I thank you both. I thank you for participating. Karen, as always, you did a beautiful job moderating. Thank you so much. And would like to open it up if anyone has any questions, comments. Feel free, just unmute yourself. Eduardo, I know you always have a comment, Eduardo, a valuable comment.
Well, it's been such a pleasure working for John. I cannot tell you, he's always been very receptive to anyone going into his office. And John, what about this? What about that? He's never, said, no, that's a good idea. Let's work on that. No, but I love listening to John. Katherine, you were wonderful as well. So thank you for your organization. I love organizations that they do so much for the community. As a newcomer, well, not as a newcomer to Broward County, but as an immigrant to this country, I am still in awe to all the companies that are doing so much for so many. So I am beyond appreciative, beyond thankful to companies like yours that I volunteered at the food bank here. I've never seen so many people involved in the dispensing of the different items. And so it was great. It's great. I love what you do. I love this. But no, that's my comment. So the great points. And Karen, as usual, you were wonderful.
She's the best.
Okay. Well, thank you all. Christine, we'll, as I said, turn it back to you. And I know that you had something to share in terms of what Encore Palm Beach County is up to next.
Yes, yes. Well, you heard of all the great reasons to be age-friendly, and you have an opportunity to learn more at our Wisdom and Experience event on September 26th. It is an opportunity where we recognize the organizations, companies, and businesses that honor and value the mature worker. And you also have an opportunity to nominate your own company as well as be a sponsor for our event to help us be able to host this event for so many. This is our 4th annual, and it's a great event. And if you'd like more information, please visit our website at encorepbc.org. And thank you everyone for joining us, and anyone on the call who'd like more information, please visit the website or contact me directly. And the invitation was, my information was in your invitation. So by all means, join Encore Palm Beach County and become an age-friendly employer to the mature workers who are so many in Palm Beach County. Thank you so much. Rosemary, would you like to give any final thoughts?
Thank you, Christine. I would just like to make a couple of comments, and one was probably about 50 years ago, I learned that the cost of staff turnover is great, and it always seemed to me that it's just common sense to do the things that are necessary to keep and retain good employees, whatever their age. And it seems like a lot of people kind of lost sight of that. And I would also like to share my concern for the younger generation that are entranced with the whole idea of working remotely or gig jobs and so forth. These are fine for making money in the short term, but I don't think they are a substitute for learning and growing within businesses and organizations that will help you create a good career for the long term, and jobs with benefits and good pay and I don't necessarily believe there's any security in life, particularly in the work world today, but more than a gig job will provide. So I'm very much concerned about the future for younger workers. And personally, I believe that everybody is needed in our country to create a great economy and society. So I think the folks who have talked today really understand that. And I thank you for your contributions in that regard.
Thank you very much
for having us.
Thank you all. Have a great Wednesday. And as I said, more information on encorepbc.org. Thank you all.